What is up, team? My name is Curtis. This is Northern Garage, and today we're working on 55 M100. So this video is about the park brake cable. I need to pass it out of province. It doesn't have connected park brake cables. We're gonna make a system today. So this truck has a Ford 9-inch swapped in the rear. The existing cables are too short. They're about 16 inches too short. I got a universal cut to fit cable. We're gonna be installing that today. I'm gonna show you guys how to make your own park brake cables using these kits. This one is off Amazon. It was $60 to my door. Way cheaper than a lot of the other kits out there. And it's the same kit. It's all the same parts, same pieces. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do that today. Honestly, I know I'm doing it for a 55 Mercury M100 / Ford F100. But this applies to literally anything. You need to make your own rear park brake cable. This is how you do it. Let's get in the rear end and I'll show you guys what we got going on here. Well, as you can see, we're starting on the passenger side. I just got more room on the passenger side. It's easy for me to film, so this is where we're starting. So I already got all my brake hardware torn off of it. I don't think I need to show you guys how to do that. I'm pretty confident in you guys and your ability to take it off. If you need to look it up, look it up. I mean, I always take reference pictures, put them back together because I don't do drum brakes that often. I don't have it on the top of my head. So once you get it assembled, you're pulling the e-brake cable. I've already pulled mine out, straightforward. And I'll show you on the driver's side here. You can see, comes out, loops through, dead ends right here. And where we need to connect is up right there. That's where we need to connect. So you can see where we have that 16 inches missing. This assembly, just gut it. Pull the entire system out. You don't need any of it. There is only one thing I will say you need, and that is with our new cable. So this is our new 10 foot, obviously. Cut to length, so they come in wicked long. This is our new cable, new shielding. This is where it goes into your drum, the backing plate of your drum. You will need this spring. My kit did not come with this spring, so I had to cut this off the existing line. So once you cut the furl off your existing line, rob the spring off it, pull out the spring on this kit. All we're doing, we're just pulling this cable all the way out. Now you're gonna take your line. So we got our new shielded line. We're gonna run it up through here. We're gonna follow the same routing. So we're gonna do a bracket right up in here, and we're gonna do a bracket under the cab. We're just feeding this in. It's gonna come in back through your factory hole in the backing plate. I mean, that's really it. So again, you wanna make sure this is square. You wanna get this nice and tight in the back here. All right, so we got the cable locked into the backing plate of the drum. From here, you gotta figure out routing. So this bolt here is for factory bracket. So again, root it up right there. We'll make sure we have lots of slack so we're not rubbing against any springs. And from this point, we will rotate. And I don't know if I will connect under here because I know the factory was suspended under here. There was cable past that. I might run it to this bed brace here and then through. But at the same time, I want to make sure it's low enough that it's not going to be rubbing on the lip for the cab. So with the kit, it came with a few things. This right here is obviously the block where the cables terminate into. You tighten down, you basically just run the wire through here, and then you tighten down the set screws in the back, cinches them down. This part here, this clevis with the pin, we're gonna be connecting this to factory. Actually, the way my factory system works, there's a bolt on it. We're gonna see hopefully it's the same thread pitch as this block here. I can spin off what's on there from factory and thread this one on. This right here is where your cables are going to terminate into, basically where the shielding ends. So this is what we're going to be mounting in this orientation here. So the shielding ends up butting up in here. This is what we'll be mounting either to here or to this bed brace down over here. Maybe we'll build a spacer off of it so it's a little lower and gets us past, again, that lip on the chassis. These are for different orientations of the cables if you need. And these are obviously some pretty basic cable clamps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way through basically the mounting of it. Get it mounted here on the frame, get this block sorted, and figure out where I want it mounted, and then from there I can cut this cable down to length. You obviously pull the cable out, cut the shielding, put the cable in, mark the cable where you need it to length, pull it out, cut the cable, put it back in. So we're gonna get to figuring out which way I want to route it and where I'm gonna mount it. I'm gonna peel off the old mounting bracket here, get this one mounted. All right, so we got a hole drilled. Got the bracket here mounted. So next up is mounting it to this. I decided to go with this cross brace. So I've already drilled the holes. And as you can see there, that goes to this bracket here. In order to make sure I'm not catching the bottom lip of the cab with the cables, I ended up grabbing some 3/8 stock and creating a little spacer out of it for this bracket. So I'll get these mounted up. And then from there, I can test fit the routing of this cable, and where basically I need to cut it, and then I can mark it and we can cut the cable. So that basically is this step. I'm going to note the one thing, obviously I'm working with a truck that does not have a box in it. Makes my life a little easier because I'm able to do all this from the top side. But really guys, like if you're doing this all from the underside, it's not gonna be that much worse. Obviously drilling these holes, you're gonna have to be careful that you're not punching up through the bed of whatever you're working on, or the cab, or the hatch, whatever it is, car, truck. The only thing to be careful of, but doing it from the bottom wouldn't be as bad. I probably, if I was doing this from the bottom, would have dropped the drive shaft to get more accessibility, especially when I look at, you know, both my mufflers and the drive shaft there. The cable from the front half is obviously right above that. So, but yeah, we'll get this bracket mounted and figure out where we're terminating this cable. We've got our bracket here mounted, and then I got my cable, as you can see, a white mark there. So basically I just held it up. That's about where I want it. I'm gonna cut it there. Reason with that is, I don't know if I can do this one-handed. It gives me enough slack that I get a nice loop out of this here, and I can put another bracket on this mount if I want. If it ends up being like, hey, it's hanging too close to the drive shaft, then I can put one there. But at the same time, like the truck is currently sitting on jack stands supported under the axle. So right now this isn't like drive shaft relaxed height. This is drive shaft with chassis load on it. I am on leafs, so it gives me some room to flex. And the thought process is, because I know at some point I am gonna be boxing this rear end and doing a 4-link, that I'll have enough slack that I can bring this cable up more. Just things you want to keep in mind when you're marking out how long you want these cables. You just got to think about future. Like if this is, you know, you're just replacing your factory, it can run exactly as the other one was. Don't worry about it. Me, I want to make sure I don't have to do this again. So I'm just planning for when I do box it and I do need to raise it. You know, I'm going to need a couple extra inches. So I'll factor that in now. So I got the cable pulled out of the shielding in order to cut it. For cutting the shielding, I am just using a grinder. It'll make a nice clean square cut. It's also the quickest way just to cut it. I suppose you could also probably use some end snips or some linesman pliers, something like that. Some wire cutters. Probably give you a nice clean cut as well. Now that's a nice curve coming into it. Obviously nice and easy. Just like this one, nice easy curves for the line. We'll make sure it's not too aggressive. They're really torquing on it, so. All right, so that gets us to this point. Now what I'll do next is I'll get the driver's side to the same point, same length. And so now I also got them both run. I'm missing some bolts. I'm gonna add 2 cable braces back here. So hold them up here. That way they have that nice line coming in. But I've run the cables in here, as you can see. Crawled underneath, verified where I need to mark them. I have marked them. Now I'm going to pull each cable out, cut the actual cable down to length, put it back in, and then we have our last kind of step, which is connecting the termination point, which is this. So just so you know from my application, this thread size is smaller than what the thread size is coming off of my under cab cable. So my idea was to just thread the soft thread on that. That's not going to work, but that under cab cable has 2 nuts on it where it clamps. I'm going to call the little U the horseshoe. I'm just gonna drill out this to the size of that thread and then just lock it on either side with the nuts. But yeah, let's get these cable pulled out, come down the length. From there, we can then, like I said, 2-part epoxy on these furrows on the cables. That way they won't move. I know they won't, but that's just added security for me that I would like. We'll do that. So back in a second with the cables cut down. Cables are ran, 100% terminated, everything's connected. Climb underneath here and take a look, and I'll show you what we got going on. All right, so as you can see, the cables come up underside. This is what I'm talking about. I'll probably just add 2 braces here, get them nice and parallel along there so it looks nice. But the end here, so I made sure these were extended all the way out. That way, as these cables have slack, I can adjust these back toward the back of the truck, pull out the slack. And then here's obviously the factory cable. Again, I drilled out this block here so it'd fit over, and I can just run a nut on either side. Cable comes through, and then it has set nuts here that pinch and hold the cable. So that is basically the installation of cut-to-fit brake lines. Now, the only task I have left is obviously putting on all the factory hardware. Now, I don't think I'm going to bore you guys with that. You've seen enough of it. Once again, my name is Curtis. This is Northerner Garage. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the flip side.